The alien girl was swallowed by the creature until the human pulled her out of its belly. The merciless twin suns of Proxima Centauri beat down on the endless crimson dunes of Tartarus IV, creating shimmering waves of heat that distorted the horizon. Sand, fine as powder and red as dried blood, stretched as far as the eye could see. Through this hellish landscape, a lone figure stumbled forward, her bare feet burning with each desperate step. Nira's lavender skin was covered in a thin film of reddish dust, her snow-white hair matted with sweat and grime. Her golden eyes, usually bright with intelligence, were now wide with terror as she felt the telltale tremors beneath her feet. The massive creature was hunting her. "Not like this!" she gasped, her voice barely a whisper in the scorching wind. "Please, not like this!" The ground began to shake more violently, and Nira broke into a sprint, her heart's hammering in her chest. But in this environment, running was futile. The beast below could sense every footfall, every vibration through the sand. With a sound like thunder, the dunes exploded upward. A massive form burst from beneath the surface. The dreaded Leviathan of Tartarus, a behemoth that made the ancient Earth's sandworms look like garden snakes. Its segmented body, covered in crystalline scales, reflected the sunlight like 1,000 bloody mirrors. Its maw, large enough to swallow a small shuttle, gaped wide. Nira's scream echoed across the dunes as the monster's jaws closed around her. Miles away, Rob Hunter lowered his binoculars and whistled softly. "Well, Rex, looks like we found our mark." The German shepherd at his side perked up his ears, tail wagging despite the oppressive heat. Rob was a seasoned hunter, one of the few humans crazy enough to make a living on Tartarus IV. His weathered face and scarred hands told stories of countless battles with the planet's wildlife. Today's quarry, however, was special. "Leviathan bile fetches a premium in the medical market," he muttered, checking his plasma harpoon. "One good shot should do it." He hadn't come to this hellhole by choice. Earth's corporations had their ways of encouraging people to take on dangerous assignments. But over the years, he'd learned to thrive here, making the hostile world his own. The Leviathan's movement patterns were predictable to those who knew what to watch for. Rob had spent weeks studying this particular beast, setting up his trap. Now everything was ready. As the creature approached his position, Rob activated the sonic lures he'd planted earlier. The beast changed course, heading straight for the trap. With practiced precision, he fired the harpoon, its plasma-tipped head piercing the Leviathan's armored hide. The monster's death throes were spectacular, its massive body thrashing as Rob's automated winch system dragged it from its sandy domain. He approached with his vibroblade, ready to harvest his prize. What he found instead would change everything. Rob's vibroblade sliced through the Leviathan's tough hide with practiced efficiency. The acrid smell of the creature's blood filled his nostrils as he worked, but something was off. Years of experience told him the beast's internal pressure wasn't right. "What the hell?" he muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. That's when he saw it, a pale lavender hand reaching through the viscera. His heart nearly stopped. Without hesitation, he plunged his arms into the creature's innards, grabbing hold of what he now realized was a person. With a mighty heave, he pulled the alien female free. She was covered in digestive fluids, but very much alive, her golden eyes wide with shock as she gasped for air. Her snow-white hair clung to her slender frame, and despite the grotesque situation, Rob couldn't help but notice her ethereal beauty. "Welcome to my world," he smirked, trying to mask his own surprise with bravado. She responded in a language he didn't understand, but her grateful expression needed no translation. Rex approached cautiously, sniffing the air around the newcomer. "Easy, boy," Rob commanded, then turned back to the alien woman. "Let's get you cleaned up." His shelter wasn't far, a reinforced habitat module nestled between two massive rock formations. Inside, it was spartanly furnished but mercifully cool. Rob grabbed a med kit while the alien female stood dripping on his floor, looking around with curious eyes. "I'm Rob," he said, pointing to himself. "And you are?" "Nira," she replied, then added something in her own language before switching to halting English. "I learn many languages. Need moment. Adjust." Rob nodded, impressed. "Take your time. Here, use these to clean up." He handed her some sanitizing wipes and pointed to the bathroom. "I'll find you something to wear." While Nira cleaned herself, Rob rummaged through his supplies. finally finding an old shirt and pants that might fit her slight frame. His mind kept returning to the way she'd looked at him. There was something in those golden eyes that stirred something primal within him. When she emerged, his breath caught in his throat. Even in his oversized clothes, she moved with an otherworldly grace. Her lavender skin seemed to glow in the habitat's artificial light. "Much better," Naira said, her English now perfect. "Your language matrix is fascinating. So many contradictions, yet so expressive." Rob found himself staring at her lips as she spoke. "You learn fast." "My species adapts quickly," she replied with a slight smile. "It's how we survive, though today, I survived because of you." She moved closer and Rob caught her scent, something exotic and intoxicating. "Anyone would have done the same," he said, his voice rougher than intended. Nira laughed softly. "No, they wouldn't. My people have heard of humans. Your reputation for being unpredictable precedes you. Most species would have left me to my fate." "Well, I'm not most species," Rob replied, finding himself drawn into her golden gaze. "No," she agreed, reaching out to touch his chest. "You're not. Your heart rate is elevated. Your body temperature is so high. Is that normal for humans?" Rob swallowed hard. "Yeah, we run hot." "Fascinating," Nira murmured, her fingers tracing patterns on his shirt. "My people, we have different customs than humans. And when someone saves our life, we are bound to them. There are expectations." The air between them grew thick with tension. Rex, sensing the change in atmosphere, quietly padded out of the room. "What kind of expectations?" Rob asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Nira stepped even closer, her body nearly touching his. "Among my people, such a debt can only be repaid through the most intimate of bonds. It is our way." Her golden eyes searched his face. "Does this make you uncomfortable?" Rob felt his pulse quicken. "No," he managed. "Not uncomfortable." She smiled then, a predatory expression that sent shivers down his spine. "Good, because I find your species intriguing. So much strength, such passion. The stories we hear, their first kiss was like touching a live wire, electric and dangerous. Her skin was cool against his, creating an intoxicating contrast that made his head spin. Time seemed to lose all meaning as they explored this new territory between their species. Later, as they lay together in the dim light of his habitat, Nira traced the scars on his chest. "Your world is so different from mine," she mused. "Everything here is harsh, brutal, yet you've made it your home. Sometimes the harshest places hide the most beautiful things," Rob replied, running his fingers through her silver-white hair. She hummed in agreement. "Perhaps that's why I find myself drawn to you. You're like this planet, dangerous but compelling." The morning suns cast long shadows across the dunes as Rob checked his perimeter sensors. Rex sat alert beside him, ears pricked forward. Something had triggered the outer warning system during the night. Inside the habitat, Nira was preparing their morning meal, humming an alien melody that made his heart skip. The past few days had been intense. Their connection had grown stronger, deeper, evolving into something neither of them had expected. "Rob," Nira called from inside, "I sense something different in the air." He'd learned to trust her instincts. Her species had evolved as prey on their homeworld, developing acute survival senses. "What kind of different?" Before she could answer, Rex growled. A sleek ship appeared on the horizon, its design distinctly non-human. Rob recognized the configuration, a drachnid hunter vessel. "Krell," Nira whispered, her lavender skin paling slightly. "He's a notorious hunter from the Omega Quadrant, known for collecting rare specimens." Rob's jaw tightened. "You know him. By reputation. My people are considered valuable acquisitions." Her golden eyes met his, especially females of breeding age. The ship landed with practiced precision about half a kilometer from Rob's habitat. The hatch opened with a hydraulic hiss, revealing a tall, reptilian figure. Krell's scaled skin gleamed metallic blue in the sunlight, his predatory eyes scanning the landscape before fixing on Rob's shelter. "Stay inside," Rob ordered, checking his plasma rifle. "No," Nira touched his arm. "My people have protocols for this." "Let me speak with him first." "Like hell!" She silenced him with a kiss that left him breathless. "Trust me, I know what I'm doing." Rob watched as Naira stepped outside, her white hair catching the morning light. She dressed in traditional garments she'd fashioned from some of his spare materials, emphasizing her exotic beauty. Krell approached with measured steps, his clawed hands open in a gesture of peaceful intent. But Rob knew better. He'd seen that predatory stance before. "Greetings, precious one," Krell's voice was surprisingly melodious. "I've been tracking you since your disappearance. Your father is most concerned." Nira's posture shifted subtly. "My father? Interesting, considering he died 3 cycles ago." Krell's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Ah, well informed. Better still. Then we can dispense with pleasantries." His eyes flickered to Rob. "The human is unnecessary. My collection lacks a prime Nixian female." "I'm not for collection." Nira's voice carried an edge Rob hadn't heard before. "I've been claimed." Krell's scales rippled with color. Amusement, Rob guessed. "By this human, please. Their species is barely space-worthy. They lack the sophistication to appreciate Nixian's unique qualities." Rob stepped forward, his hand never far from his weapon. "Why don't you ask her about human appreciation?" The air crackled with tension. Rex's growl grew louder. "You don't understand our ways, human," Krell sneered. "Nixians require a strong mate, one who can match their intensity, their particular needs." Naira laughed, the sound both musical and dangerous. "And you think you qualify? Tell me, Krell, how many of your collected specimens survived their first cycle?" The hunter's scales darkened. "They were weak. You're different, special." "She's not going anywhere," Rob stated flatly. Krell's hand moved faster than Rob expected, drawing a neural disruptor. But Rob was already moving, tackling Naira aside as the energy burst scorched the air where they'd stood. Rex launched himself at the hunter, giving Rob time to roll behind a storage unit. Nishira moved with liquid grace, her natural camouflage ability rendering her nearly invisible. "Primitive weapons. Primitive tactics," Krell taunted, easily throwing Rex aside. "Is this really your choice, precious one? This savage?" Rob heard Naira's voice behind him, felt her cool touch on his neck. "You want to see savage?" she whispered loud enough for Krell to hear. "Let me show you what my human has taught me about primitive tactics." What followed was a dance of violence and strategy. Naira's natural abilities combined with Rob's tactical experience proved devastating. While Krell focused on Rob's frontal assault, Naira would strike from behind, her ceremonial dagger finding gaps in his scaled armor. The battle ended when Rex, recovering from his initial setback, clamped his jaws around Krell's weapon arm, while Rob landed a solid blow to the hunter's head with his rifle butt. Krell collapsed, dark blood seeping from several wounds. "Impossible," he gasped. "A human and a dog. Humanity's greatest weapons," Naira purred, pressing against Rob's side. "Unpredictability and loyalty." The desert night brought no relief from danger. Rob studied the holographic display salvaged from Krell's ship, his jaw tightening at what he saw. 3 more hunter vessels were approaching Tartarus 4, each belonging to a different alien species notorious for their collection of exotic specimens. "They're coming for both of us now," Naira said softly, her cool fingers tracing patterns on his bare shoulder. "Krell's defeat has made you a target too. A human who can best a drachnid hunter? They'll want to add you to their collections." Rob turned to face her, drinking in the sight of her luminescent skin in the dim light. "Let them try. I've survived worse." Her golden eyes sparkled with a mixture of concern and desire. "Have you? The Myraxian brothers are legendary hunters. The Vorn Prince collects warriors like trophies. And Thax, he's the worst of them all." "Tell me about them," Rob requested, pulling her closer. The contrast between their body temperatures sent pleasant shivers through both of them. "The Myraxians use neural nets. They'll try to separate us. The Vorn Prince has living armor that adapts to any weapon. And the Thax..." She paused, pressing herself against him. "Thax doesn't collect for sport or profit. He breeds warriors." Rex's warning growl interrupted them. The perimeter sensors were flashing again. "They're early," Rob muttered, reaching for his gear. "We need to move." Nyra's camouflage ability flickered across her skin. "Number, we make our stand here. This is your territory. You know every dune, every rock formation." "It's not just about territory anymore," Rob said, checking his weapons. "It's about us." Their eyes met in understanding. What had started as a chance encounter, him saving her from the Leviathan's belly, had evolved into something deeper, more primal. Their differences, their unique abilities, complement each other perfectly. "Then let's give them a proper welcome," Nyra purred, her voice carrying that dangerous edge that made his blood run hot. "Show them why humans are the most feared species in the galaxy." They spent the next hour preparing. Rob's traps, combined with Nyra's knowledge of hunter tactics, created a deadly maze around their habitat. Rex patrolled the perimeter, his enhanced senses alert for any approach. The first attack came at dawn. The Meraxian brothers, identical in their crystalline armor, attempted to flank them from opposite directions. Their neural nets crackled through the air, seeking to entangle and incapacitate. But Rob had learned from Nyra. The human, seemingly primitive tactics masked a cunning that the alien hunters couldn't comprehend. As the nets descended, carefully placed reflective panels redirected them back at their users. "Impossible!" one brother screamed as his own net wrapped around him. "Humans don't fight fair," Rob called out, his voice carrying across the dunes. "We fight to win." The Vorn Prince arrived next, his living armor rippling like liquid metal. He spoke in a voice like grinding stones. "Impressive, human, but ultimately futile." Nyra's laughter echoed from somewhere in the shadows. "You don't understand, do you? None of you do. Humans don't just fight, they adapt. They evolve. Every defeat makes them stronger." The battle that followed was unlike anything the desert had ever seen. The Vorn Prince's adaptive armor was formidable, but it couldn't adapt to what it couldn't predict. Rob and Nyra moved in perfect synchronization, their intimate knowledge of each other's abilities, creating a deadly dance. Rex proved invaluable, his barking causing the living armor to react instinctively, creating gaps that Rob's modified plasma rounds could penetrate. As the second sun rose, the Vorn Prince lay defeated, his armor shattered and smoking. But there was no time to celebrate. Thax's ship appeared on the horizon, its black hull absorbing the sunlight like a void. "He's different," Nyra warned, pressing close to Rob. "He thinks like you do, unpredictable, adaptable, and he has resources we can't imagine." Rob pulled her into a fierce kiss. "Then we'll be even more unpredictable. You up for it?" Her answer was a smile that combined tenderness and predatory anticipation. "Always. Show me more of why humans are the apex predators of the galaxy." Thax's ship landed with deliberate slowness, its shadow stretching across the blood-red dunes like a dark prophecy. Rob felt Nyra tense beside him, her lavender skin flickering with unconscious camouflage patterns. "He's not what you expect," she whispered, her cool breath against his ear sending shivers down his spine despite the tension. "Thax was my people's greatest geneticist." Rob turned to her, seeing something new in those golden eyes, fear mixed with determination. "What aren't you telling me?" "My species," Nyra began, then pressed herself closer to him, as if drawing strength from his warmth. "We were engineered, designed to be the perfect adaptable companions. Thax was the architect of our final form." The ship's hatch opened with a hiss of pressurized air. The figure that emerged was tall and elegant, with silver-scaled skin that seemed to ripple like liquid mercury. His eyes were the same golden hue as Nyra's. "My finest creation," Thax's voice carried across the desert air with surprising gentleness, "and the human who proved me right." Rob kept his rifle trained on the alien scientist. "Right about what?" "About evolution, about adaptation." Thax spread his arms wide. "About the perfect match." Nyra's fingers dug into Rob's arm. "He planned this, all of it." "Not exactly," Thax corrected, taking measured steps forward. Rex growled but held his position at Rob's command. "I planned for our people to find their perfect genetic matches naturally, but you, my dear, you exceeded expectations. A human," he smiled, showing crystalline teeth, "the most adaptable species in the galaxy." "You're saying this wasn't chance?" Rob demanded, thinking back to how he'd found Nira in the Leviathan's belly. The worm? Oh, that was chance. Wonderful, perfect chance. But your meeting, Thax's eyes gleamed. Your compatibility was designed generations ago, when I first studied human genetic patterns. Nira stepped forward, her natural grace making even that simple movement appear dangerous. You used us, all of us, created us to be exactly what you've become, Thax finished. Look at yourselves. The perfect synthesis of strength and adaptation. Your children will be magnificent. Rob felt his blood run hot at the casual way Thax discussed their future. We're not your science experiment. No, Thax agreed. You're my greatest success. The hunters, all part of the test. I needed to see how you would work together, how your abilities would complement each other, and you exceeded every expectation. Why tell us this now? Nira demanded, her voice carrying an edge that made Rob's skin tingle. Because the next phase begins. Thax's form seemed to shimmer in the desert heat. Your children will be the first of a new species, one that combines human determination with Nixian adaptation. The perfect survivors. Rob felt Nira's cool touch on his arm, saw the look in her eyes that he'd come to recognize, the one that meant she was about to do something unexpected. You forgot one thing about humans, she said, her voice carrying that dangerous purr that drove Rob wild. They don't like being manipulated. And you forgot something about your creation, Rob added, catching her meaning. We make our own choices. What followed was not the battle Thax had expected. Instead of fighting him, they turned and ran straight toward the largest dune. Nira's laughter echoed across the desert as they moved in perfect synchronization. What are you doing? Thax called after them, genuine confusion in his voice. Showing you true adaptation, Nira shouted back. She turned to Rob with a wild grin. Ready to show him why I fell in love with a human? Rob matched her grin. Ladies first. Together, they leaped off the dune's crest, just as a massive leviathan burst from the sand below, its maw opening wide. But this time, they were ready. This time, they chose their fate. Impossible! Thax's voice carried over the creature's roar. The statistical probability. That's humans for you, Rob called back as they executed their plan. We fuck up your statistics. The Leviathan's movement created a wave of sand that crashed over Thax's position. Rob and Nira executed their plan perfectly, using the creature's predictable hunting pattern to their advantage. As the massive beast breached the surface, they were already moving in tandem, their bodies in perfect synchronization. Now! Rob shouted, and Nira's camouflage ability extended to include him, something that shouldn't have been possible. Thax's crystalline eyes widened in genuine surprise. Extraordinary! The bond is already affecting your genetic structure. They emerged from their camouflage state behind him, weapons ready. Rex circled around, cutting off Thax's retreat to his ship. Talk, Rob demanded. What aren't you telling us about this bond? Thax's liquid mercury skin rippled with what might have been excitement. You've already discovered it, haven't you? The shared abilities, the way your bodies resonate with each other. Nira pressed closer to Rob, her cool skin sending pleasant shivers through him despite the tension. The way I can extend my camouflage to him, that's not normal. Normal? Thax laughed softly. My dear, nothing about humans is normal. They're the only species in the galaxy that actively seeks out the impossible and achieves it. Stop dancing around it, Rob growled. What's really going on here? Thax's expression became serious. Humans were never meant to be alone in the galaxy. Your species, you're incomplete, as are the Nixians. You're two halves of the same evolutionary path. What? Nira's golden eyes narrowed. Your people, the Nixians, weren't just engineered to be compatible with humans, Thax explained. You were created from human genetic material, modified, enhanced, adapted, but fundamentally human in origin. The revelation hit them both like a physical blow. Rob felt Nira's grip on his arm tighten. Impossible, she whispered, but her voice held uncertainty. Is it? Thax gestured at them. Look at how perfectly you complement each other. Your abilities, your instincts, even your physical differences. Cool and warm, adaptive and enduring. You're the missing pieces of each other's evolutionary puzzle. Rob's mind raced. The hunters? They were never here for trophies, were they? Very good, Thax nodded. They were here to test the bond, to see if a human and a Nixian could truly merge their abilities. The Leviathan that swallowed Nira? We engineered them too, specifically to bring compatible pairs together. You use that monster to play matchmaker? Rob's voice carried dangerous undertones. The Leviathan's digestive enzymes activate dormant genetic markers in Nixians, Thax explained. When you cut her free, saved her life, the bond began forming. Every challenge since then has only strengthened it. Nira's skin flickered with emotion. Our attraction, our compatibility, is completely natural, Thax assured her. The engineering only opened the possibility. Your choices, your feelings, they're entirely your own. Rob felt something shift inside him, a warmth that had nothing to do with the desert heat. Every touch, every moment with Nira had felt right because it was right. They were literally made for each other. But why? Nira demanded. Why create an entire species just to bond with humans? Thax's expression turned grave. Because humanity's greatest strength is also its greatest weakness. Your adaptability, your drive to survive and thrive, it makes you powerful but unstable. The Nixians were created to be your anchors, your perfect companions. Together, you're the next step in evolution. And now? Rob asked, feeling Nira's cool touch centering him. Now you choose, Thax said simply. That's the final test, and the one thing we couldn't engineer. Will you embrace what you are together, or fight it? Rob turned to Nira, saw in her golden eyes the same fire that burned in his soul. Their lips met in a kiss that seemed to make the desert itself hold its breath. When they parted, Nira smiled, that dangerous, seductive smile that had first captured his heart. I think we already chose, she purred. The moment you pulled me from that beast belly, the moment you looked at me with those golden eyes, Rob agreed. Thax watched them with something like pride. Then my work here is done. The future of both our species lies in unions like yours. Natural, powerful, chosen. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. A human and a Nixian had successfully bonded on Tartarus 4, their union triggering changes that rippled through both species. Rob and Nira found themselves at the center of a galactic storm they never expected. The Galactic Council is in an uproar, Thax informed them, his liquid mercury skin reflecting the sunset's crimson light. Some species see this as a threat to the established order. Nira lounged against Rob, her cool skin a pleasant contrast to the desert heat. Let them worry. They can't stop what's natural. Natural? A new voice joined their conversation. The holographic projection showed a distinguished-looking human diplomat. There's nothing natural about engineered species. Ambassador Nelson, Rob acknowledged, his arm tightening protectively around Nira. I wondered when Earth would weigh in. This goes beyond Earth, Nelson replied. The Arcturus Confederation is concerned about the implications. A human-Nixian hybrid species would have unprecedented abilities. Nira's laugh was musical and slightly dangerous. Worried we'll be too powerful? Worried you'll be too perfect, Nelson corrected. The combination of human adaptability and Nixian capabilities, it could destabilize the entire galactic power structure. Rob felt Nira's skin ripple with amusement against his. Maybe it needs destabilizing. Thax's crystalline eyes gleamed. Already other pairs are forming. The bond you two share has activated something in both species. A recognition, a calling. The Leviathans, Rob realized. They're not just on Tartarus 4, are they? No, Thax confirmed. They exist on dozens of worlds where humans and Nixians coexist, each one waiting to bring compatible pairs together. Nelson's hologram flickered with concern. Do you realize what this means? The political implications alone… Fuck politic, Rob interrupted, earning a pleased purr from Nira. This is about evolution, about the future. A future where humans and Nixians become one species, Nelson demanded. A future where we become what we were always meant to be, Nira countered, her golden eyes challenging. "You humans have a saying. Love finds a way." Rob couldn't help but smile at her use of the Earth phrase. Every day she surprised him with new adaptations, new understandings. The Arcturus Confederation won't stand for this," Nelson warned. "They're already talking about segregation laws, genetic restrictions." "Let them try," Rob's voice carried the quiet confidence that Nira found so irresistible. "Humans have a history of fighting against restrictions on love, and we usually win." Thax nodded approvingly. "The bond cannot be legislated away. It's written in your very DNA." "There's more," Nelson admitted reluctantly. "Some species are interested in replicating your success. They want to engineer their own compatible species." Nira's skin flickered with anger. "It doesn't work that way. What Rob and I have, it can't be manufactured." "No," Thax agreed. "The engineering only opened the door. What you two share, that's purely your own creation." Rob stood, pulling Nira up with him. Their movements were perfectly synchronized, as if they shared one mind. "Tell the Council this. We're not their experiment anymore. We're the future. And the future is coming whether they like it or not. Already reports are coming in," Thax added. "A human mining engineer on Proxima 3, saved from a cave-in by a Nixian geologist, a Nixian pilot and human navigator, surviving a black hole together. Each crisis, each shared danger, awakening the potential within them." "Like a leviathan's belly," Nira murmured, pressing closer to Rob. "Danger bringing us together." Nelson's hologram showed clear discomfort. "The conservative elements in both our societies will adapt," Rob finished firmly. "That's what humans do best. And now with Nixians, we'll adapt together." The warning came at midnight. Nira jolted awake in Rob's arms, her lavender skin pulsing with alarm patterns. Rex lifted his head, ears pricked forward. "They're killing them," she whispered, her cool body trembling against Rob's warmth. "The Leviathans. I can feel their pain." Rob was instantly alert, years of survival instincts kicking in. "Where?" "Everywhere." Nira's golden eyes glowed in the darkness. "The purists. They're using quantum resonance weapons. The weapons, they're designed specifically for Leviathan biology." Thax's emergency transmission confirmed their fears. Across 17 worlds, radical groups were launching coordinated attacks on Leviathan populations. Their goal: prevent more human Nixian pairs from forming. "The bastards are trying to stop evolution itself," Rob growled, pulling on his gear. The familiar weight of his plasma rifle felt reassuring against his back. "Not just evolution," Nira corrected, her movements perfectly matching his as she prepared. "They're trying to stop love." Their bond had grown stronger over the past weeks. Now they could sense each other's thoughts, share abilities that neither species should possess alone. Rob felt Nira's camouflage ability ripple across his skin, while she gained his enhanced strength and endurance. "The nearest attack is happening at the breeding grounds," Thax's hologram reported. "A purist strike team, mixed species, but all opposed to human Nixian integration." "The breeding grounds," Rob's eyes widened. "That's where you found me," Nira finished, her voice carrying a dangerous edge. "Where our story began." They moved through the desert night like shadows, Rex running silent beside them. Their shared abilities made them nearly invisible, nearly unstoppable. But what they found at the breeding grounds made even their enhanced hearts skip a beat. A massive purist vessel hovered over the dunes, its quantum resonance cannon charging for another shot. Below, 3 Leviathans writhed in agony, their crystalline scales cracking under the weapon's specific frequency. "Those beasts are abominations," a voice boomed across the desert. "Engineered to force unnatural unions. We're cleansing the galaxy of this perversion." Rob felt Nira's cool touch on his arm. Through their bond, he sensed her plan forming. It was bold, dangerous, and perfectly in line with their shared nature. "Remember how you pulled me from the Leviathan's belly?" she purred, her voice carrying that seductive tone that still made his blood run hot. "Planning a repeat performance?" Her smile gleamed in the darkness. "Something like that. But this time, we go in together." The largest Leviathan, despite its pain, recognized Nira's presence. These creatures, they discovered, were more than just mindless beasts. They were guardians of evolution itself, engineered with an intelligence that defied conventional understanding. Through their bond, Rob and Naira communicated with the massive creature. It understood their plan, recognized them as the first successful pair it had helped create. "This is insane," Rob grinned, pulling Naira close for a passionate kiss. "I love it." The purists never saw it coming. As their quantum cannon prepared to fire again, the Leviathan burst from the sand directly beneath their ship. But this time, its massive maw contained two passengers, a human and a Nixian, their bodies glowing with shared power. "Impossible!" The purist commander screamed as Rob and Naira emerged through the ship's hull, their combined abilities making metal bend like paper. "That's humanity's favorite word," Rob called out, his voice carrying across the ship's bridge. "Right before we prove you wrong." Naira moved like liquid shadow beside him, her cool presence amplifying his strength, his heat enhancing her adaptability. Together, they were something entirely new, neither human nor Nixian, but a perfect synthesis of both. In the aftermath of their victory over the purists, Rob and Naira found themselves connected to the Leviathans in an unprecedented way. The creature's crystalline scales resonated with a frequency that matched their combined biorhythms, creating a telepathic bridge none had thought possible. "The Leviathans!" Naira gasped, her cool fingers intertwined with Rob's. "They're not just matchmakers, they're ancestors." Through the psychic link, images flooded their minds. Ancient Earth, millions of years ago. The first Leviathans, not native to Earth at all, but visitors, guardians, shepherds of evolution. They had guided humanity's development from the very beginning. "Holy shit," Rob breathed, feeling Naira's amazement mirror his own. "They've been preparing us all along." The largest Leviathan, the one they'd used to breach the purist ship, communicated directly with them. Its consciousness was vast, ancient, carrying memories that spanned millions of years. "The Galactic Council needs to see this," Thax's voice came through their communicators. His liquid mercury form shimmered with excitement as he studied the readings. "The implications are staggering." News of the revelation spread across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. The Leviathans weren't just engineered creatures. They were the engineers. They had guided humanity's evolution, preparing Earth's dominant species for eventual contact with the cosmos. "But why create the Nixians?" Rob asked, his arm around Naira, as they watched three suns set over the desert horizon. "Why not just reveal themselves?" The answer came through their bond with the Leviathans. Images of failed first contacts, civilizations that had destroyed themselves when faced with the truth of their origins. Humanity was different, adaptable, resilient, but they needed equals, partners who could help them bridge the gap between what they were and what they could become. "We're not just compatible," Naira realized, her golden eyes wide. "We're the missing piece of humanity's evolutionary puzzle, and humans are ours." The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from 1,000 species gathered to witness the evidence. The Pris's attack had inadvertently revealed what the Leviathans had been working toward for millions of years. "This changes everything," Ambassador Nelson admitted, his hologram showing genuine awe. "The prejudices against engineered species, the fears about genetic advancement, all based on ignorance," Thax finished. "The Leviathans didn't just engineer compatible species, they engineered the future itself." Rob felt Naira's cool skin ripple with emotion against his. Through their strengthened bond, he sensed her processing the implications. "The Leviathan that swallowed you," he said softly. "It chose us specifically." "It recognized our potential," she agreed, pressing closer to him, like calling to across the genetic divide. The desert night grew cool, but neither of them noticed the temperature. Their shared body heat, his warmth, her cool, created a perfect equilibrium, just as their species had been designed to do. "More pairs are emerging," Thax reported, his crystalline eyes gleaming. "The Leviathan's revelation has triggered a genetic awakening. Humans and Nixians across the galaxy are finding each other, drawn together by an attraction millions of years in the making." "And the other species?" Rob asked, though he was slightly distracted by Naira's fingers tracing patterns on his chest. "They're evolving," Thax replied with satisfaction. "The evidence of the Leviathan's grand design has sparked a renaissance in genetic research. Species that once feared genetic advancement are now embracing it. Through their bond with the Leviathans, Rob and Naira sense the changes rippling through the galaxy. The creature's ancient plan was finally coming to fruition, not just for humans and Nixians, but for all sentient life. "We were never meant to remain static," Naira mused, her voice carrying that seductive purr that still made Rob's pulse race. "Evolution is about adaptation, about finding the perfect match. Like a human pulling his mate from a Leviathan's belly?" Rob grinned. The warning came through their Leviathan bond during an intimate moment. Rob and Naira were wrapped in each other's arms, their contrasting body temperatures creating a perfect balance, when the ancient creature's psychic message hit them like a thunderbolt. "The Void Hunters!" Naira gasped, her lavender skin flickering with alarm patterns that Rob could now read like a book. "They're coming." Through their shared connection with the Leviathans, they saw the threat. Massive entities of dark matter, drawn to the energy signatures of evolving species. They had destroyed countless civilizations before they could reach their full potential. "That's why the Leviathans engineered us," Rob realized, pulling Naira closer. "Not just for companionship, but for survival." Rex whined at the foot of their bed, sensing the disturbance through his own enhanced connection to his human partner. The dog's instincts had grown sharper since being exposed to the combined human-Nixian energy field. Thax's hologram materialized, his liquid mercury form rippling with urgency. "The Void Hunters have detected the surge in evolutionary energy from the human-Nixian bonds. They're converging on populated systems." "How long?" Rob asked, already reaching for his gear. 3 days until first contact, but there's more." Thax's crystalline eyes gleamed. "The Leviathans, they've been preparing for this. The human-Nixian bonds create an energy signature that the Void Hunters can't process." Naira's cool fingers traced the muscles of Rob's back as she pressed against him. "Our compatibility isn't just physical or genetic. Our combined energy patterns create a weapon," Rob finished, feeling the truth of it through their bond. "The perfect defense against creatures that feed on singular species evolution." The Galactic Council's emergency broadcast confirmed their worst fears. The Void Hunters had already consumed 2 outer colony worlds. Conventional weapons passed right through their dark matter forms. "But we're not conventional," Naira purred, her golden eyes glowing with a dangerous light that made Rob's blood run hot. "We're what the Leviathans spent millions of years creating." Through their enhanced connection, they could sense other bonded pairs across the galaxy coming to the same realization. Humans and Nixians, once separated by prejudice and fear, were now the front line of defense against an ancient enemy. "The Leviathans knew," Thax marveled. "Every step of our evolution, every genetic modification, was preparing us for this moment." Rob felt Naira's cool touch on his chest, right over his heart. Through their bond, he sensed her fierce pride, her absolute trust in their combined strength. "Remember how this started?" she whispered. "You pulling me from the Leviathan's belly? Best hunt of my life," Rob grinned, pulling her into a kiss that sent sparks of shared energy crackling between them. "The first Void Hunter will reach Tartarus 4, Thax reported. "The Leviathans believe this is no coincidence. This planet, where the first successful human-Nixian bond was formed, is where we make our stand," Naira finished, her voice carrying that seductive edge that meant she was ready for battle. The desert night came alive with activity. Other bonded pairs began arriving through emergency FTL jumps, drawn to the planet where it all began. Each couple brought their own unique combination of abilities, their bonds strengthened by shared trials and passionate connections. "The Void Hunters won't know what hit them," Rob observed as they watched ships landing across the dunes. "They're used to consuming single species, not pairs who complete each other," Naira finished, her cool body pressing against his warm one in a way that still sent shivers down his spine. "Not bonds forged in the belly of evolution itself." Through their Leviathan bond, they sensed the ancient creature's satisfaction. Everything, from the moment the first Leviathan guided humanity's early development, to the engineering of the Nixians, to that fateful day when Rob cut Naira free, had been leading to this. The first Void Hunter arrived at dawn, its dark matter form blotting out the rising suns like an eclipse of evolution itself. Rob and Naira stood at the forefront of the assembled pairs, their bodies humming with shared energy that made the desert air crackle. "It's beautiful," Naira whispered, her golden eyes reflecting the void-black entity in a terrifying way. Through their enhanced bond, they sensed something unexpected from the creature. Not hostility, but curiosity. The Void Hunter had never encountered anything like the combined energy signature of bonded pairs. "Wait," Rob called out as other pairs prepared to attack. "Something's not right. It's trying to communicate." The Leviathans confirmed his intuition through their psychic link. The massive creatures began resonating at a frequency that bridged the gap between normal matter and the Void Hunter's dark matter form. Images flooded their minds, not of destruction, but of transformation. The Void Hunters weren't consuming evolving species. They were searching for ones ready to transcend their physical forms. "Holy shit," Rob breathed, feeling Naira's cool body press against his as they processed the revelation. "They're not predators, they're midwives." Thax's liquid mercury form shimmered with excitement. The human Nixian bonds, they're not just weapons, they're proof that we're ready for the next step. The Void Hunter's dark matter form began to shift, creating patterns that matched the energy signatures of the bonded pairs. Through their connection with the Leviathans, Rob and Naira understood this was what the ancient guardians had been preparing them for. Evolution isn't just about physical adaptation, Naira realized, her fingers intertwining with Rob's. It's about transcending the boundaries between species, between matter itself. Their first intimate contact with the Void Hunter triggered something unprecedented. The combined human Nixian energy pattern created a bridge between normal and dark matter, allowing communication that should have been impossible. "We were wrong about everything," Thax marveled. "The Void Hunters haven't destroyed those civilizations. They've elevated them. But only species that achieve true compatibility can survive the transformation." Rob felt Naira's excitement through their bond. Her cool skin rippled with patterns that matched the Void Hunter's dark matter fluctuations. "That's why the Leviathans chose humans and Nixians," she purred. "Our compatibility goes beyond the physical." The desert itself seemed to pulse with energy as more Void Hunters arrived. But instead of fear, the bonded pairs felt anticipation. Each couple's unique energy signature added to the growing harmony between normal and dark matter. "Remember when I pulled you from the Leviathan?" Rob asked, pulling Naira close. "That was just the beginning of our evolution." Their kiss sent sparks of combined energy crackling across the desert. Other pairs followed suit, their passionate connections amplifying the bridge between realities. The Void Hunters responded with patterns of dark matter that dance like auroras across the sky. Through their Leviathan bond, they understood the true purpose of their union. Humans provided the drive to explore the impossible, while Nixians offered the adaptability to survive it. Together, they were the key to humanity's next great adventure. "The belly of the beast," Naira laughed softly, her golden eyes glowing with an inner light that matched the Void Hunter's display. "And that's where all great transformations begin." The desert night exploded with light as more Void Hunters arrived, each bringing visions of civilizations that had already transcended physical form. Through their enhanced bond, Rob and Naira witnessed the incredible diversity of evolution across the universe. "They're showing us the path," Naira breathed, her cool body pressed against Rob's warmth. "All these species that found their perfect matches, their ideal compatibility." The Void Hunters' dark matter forms created intricate patterns in the sky, telling stories of countless successful unions. Some civilizations had taken millennia to find their compatible partners, while others, like humans and Nixians, had been deliberately engineered for each other. "And it all started in a Leviathan's belly," Rob grinned, pulling Naira closer. The memory of their first meeting, him cutting her free from the creature's innards, now seemed like destiny rather than chance. Thax's liquid mercury form rippled with excitement as he interpreted the Void Hunter's messages. Each transcended civilization maintains its unique characteristics even after evolution. The bonds between pairs become eternal, transcending physical form itself. Through their connection with the Leviathans, they saw the truth. The ancient creatures hadn't just engineered compatible species. They had created perfect soul matches, pairs whose connection would survive even the transformation into pure energy. "That's why the physical attraction is so strong," Nira purred, her golden eyes glowing with understanding. "It's our souls recognizing each other, preparing for eternal union." The assembled human Nixian pairs watched in awe as the Void Hunters demonstrated the transformation process. The dark matter beings created a bridge between physical reality and something greater, a realm where consciousness existed free from material constraints. Rex whined softly, pressing against Rob's leg. Through their enhanced connection, they realized that even humanity's faithful companions would be part of this evolution. The bond between species ran deeper than anyone had imagined. "We're ready," Rob declared, feeling Nira's agreement through their bond. "Show us how to take the next step." The transformation began with a kiss. Passionate, deep, a physical expression of their soul-deep connection. As their energies merged, the Void Hunters' dark matter surrounded them, creating a cocoon of evolutionary potential. Other pairs followed their example, each couple's unique energy signature adding to the symphony of transformation. The desert night became a cascade of light and shadow, physical and dark matter interweaving in patterns that defied conventional physics. Through it all, Rob and Nira remained anchored to each other. Their bond, forged in the belly of a Leviathan and strengthened through every challenge, proved to be the perfect template for transcendence. "I can feel everything," Nira gasped as their consciousness expanded. "Every moment we've shared, every touch, every kiss, it's becoming eternal." The Void Hunters showed them visions of their future, not just as energy beings, but as guides for other evolving species. Their story, the human who pulled his soulmate from a monster's belly, would become legend across the galaxy. Humanity's greatest strength, Thax observed as his own form began to shift, was never just adaptability. It was the capacity for love that transcends all boundaries. The final transformation was like a supernova of sensation. Physical forms dissolved into pure energy, but the connections, the loves, the bonds, the eternal partnerships remained stronger than ever. In their new state, Rob and Nira discovered they could experience their connection on infinite levels. Every moment of passion, every shared adventure, became part of an eternal dance of energy and consciousness. "Ready for our next adventure?" Rob's energy form intertwined with Nira's, creating patterns that made the Void Hunters pulse with approval. Always, her response carried all the seductive power of her physical form, enhanced by their new state of being. "As long as you keep pulling me out of trouble." The desert of Tartarus IV, where their story began, would become a sacred site, the birthplace of humanity's greatest evolution. Future generations would come here to learn how a simple act of rescue led to the transcendence of two species. And somewhere in the eternal dance of energy and consciousness, a human and his Nixian soulmate continued their passionate adventure. Their love story written not just in the stars, but in the very fabric of evolution itself.